I just got back from an inspection and I met this lady, and she was actually the seller of the home. And I walk inside the house, and just seemed sad from the moment I got to the door. And she let me in, very, very polite and everything. I told her I was going to be there probably 2 to 3 hours to do this inspection. And when I walked in the house, because I like taking a look at everything before I get started, so I have a really good game plan. The house looked like, it's been lived in for a very long time. Clean, very good. A lot of pictures on the walls, the kitchen, all the nooks and cracks of the area. I had knickknacks, and so I could tell that she's been living there for a while, and hasn't been updated in a long time. And I asked her, I said, "Oh, where are you moving to?" And she looked at me like I had two heads, and I'm like, "Oh, did I say something wrong?" And she says to me, she goes, "I have no idea where I'm going." I was like, "You have no idea where you're going, and you're selling the house?" She goes, "I have no choice but to sell this house." So she went on to tell me her story. She says, "I'm 67 years old," she says, "and my husband died 2 years ago. And between, I just got the insurance bill for this house and property tax bill." And she says, between property taxes, insurance bills, and groceries, she says, "I can't afford it anymore. I'm on a fixed income. The only income I have is Social Security." The sweetest lady. And you could tell she doesn't want to move. She has no idea where she's going to go. So I asked her if she had, any kids around, any relatives or anything. She says, "I have no one." And my heart sank. It really did. I'm like, oh my God, she does. She's being forced out of this house because of bills like property taxes and homeowners insurance. And she's not the only one in this situation. She's not. And I want to shoot a video because I need everybody to be aware of, and I'm sure a lot of you are, or you might be in the situation yourself, but this is really bad. This is really, really affecting millions and millions of people on fixed incomes. As they get older and they don't have the ability to work anymore, or they had a spouse that died, or any number of circumstances, health issues. I'm not saying, we have to just pay for everything and give them money, but we need a better game plan than what's happening now. It seems like everybody's just on their own and they're just worried about themselves lately. So, what I want to do on this video is talk about the situation, talk about people that are on fixed incomes and are in homes that they can't afford with no game plans. It just and so some solutions. So I did research. There is some solutions, things that people could do. So definitely stay till the end. And if you have relatives, parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, anybody, even though if they don't live near you, maybe they're in this situation and you're just not aware of it. Maybe they're just too proud to even say, "Hey, you know what? I'm in trouble and I need help." So, maybe reach out to them and see how they're doing, financially and everything. And maybe some of the stuff in this video will, you know, give an idea of things that you could do. So let's get started with this. In the meantime, I know I ask this all the time, but it really does help out the channel. Consider subscribing. It really does help out the algorithm when people subscribe. It's just takes 2 seconds to click on subscribe. Also, if you need a real estate agent anywhere in Florida or Tampa or anywhere in the United States, my phone number is below. Text me or call me, and I'll set you up with some really good people I have in this network. All right, let's get started. Let's put a few things into perspective first, okay? So these are the stats I pulled. There's more stats out there, but I averaged everything out. So basically in 2023, about 1 in 3 older households, about 34%, were cost burden. What I mean by that, they're spending more than 30% of their income just on housing. So they're choosing, okay, so they have to think about, okay, what am I going to eat this week because the housing cost is so much? But that's a record high. It's like 12.4 million older households. Okay, so and in 2019, this is the weird part. From 2019, 2.3 million up since 2019. So it's happening more and more and more, and it's going to get to a crisis level. And don't forget, us as a society are having less and less kids, but the population is living longer, and more people are getting to the age that they're going to need to be taken care of. But there's not enough working people in the future to take care of all these older people, and because people are just getting into their 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s, people just living longer. So that's one of the big issues that we're going to have to come up with, is how to take care of everybody. Again, I'm not trying to say, hey, just hand them money and do that. I'm not saying any of that, because I know how the comments are sometimes, and they're like, well, why is it my problem? Well, it's a big social problem. Let's put it that way. Think about it this way. It's the fixed income squeeze. Okay, that's what I call it. What it looks like. The average monthly. So I'm saying, like, how much money do people get on Social Security? And what I found out was the average monthly Social Security check for retirees was about $2,008.31 as of August 2025. So think about it. Your living expenses right now, can you live on $2,008.31? If you're renting, even if you get a cheap place to rent around here, you're probably spending $1,600. And then what are you going to do? Take the rest of the $400 or $500 and, pay insurance and buy food and do whatever pay the electric and the heat or wherever you are. It's nuts. Prices of everything with inflation is outpacing their checks. Okay. Homeowners insurance on a national premium just climbed like 24% since 2021. Okay, and a typical homeowner pays about $3,303 as of 2024 when I pulled that stat. So people that are getting $2,000 a month, all right, it takes them over a month and a half just to pay their insurance for the year. All right. Property taxes, okay, on a national average, hit about $4,300 in 2024. That's up about 5 to 6% year over year. The biggest rates, that basically even in the Northeast. So you're talking about, you say, well, my property taxes where I live is only $3,000. Okay, but always keep in mind that the fixed income of somebody on just Social Security on average is $2,000. So property taxes keep going up. And here's my 2 cents. I was going to say it towards the end, but I'll say it when it comes to property taxes. I personally think that if people work their whole lives and they own their house free and clear and they're seniors and they're on a fixed income, we should eliminate the property taxes, including the school tax. Because like over here in Florida, they're talking about, well, you know what? We're going to do something about property taxes because it's getting out of hand, but we'll leave the school tax alone. It's one of the proposals. But these people have been paying property taxes all their lives. And maybe, when they retire and they're fixed income and they don't have the means to do it, maybe give them an exemption from property taxes. You do it for churches. Why not do it for seniors that can't afford the property taxes? Food has been going, according to the USDA, it projects that the food prices are going to continue going up like 2.4% a year. I went to the supermarket just to pick up just some simple things. I had 2 little bags of stuff. Okay, nothing crazy. I'm not talking about I got big steaks or anything in there, but just simple stuff. And it was $71. All right. I couldn't even imagine. I really think that just my food bill for me and my wife, and I guess we eat out and stuff, is over $2,000. So the whole Social Security, if I was on a fixed income Social Security, I would be in trouble. And then, if you want to get quality foods, And I'm there. So when I was doing this video, when I was thinking about doing this video, I'm like, I saw some elderly people walking, and I was just kind of looking over and seeing what they were buying. But they were buying like a lot of like mac and cheese, spaghettis. I could tell that they every time they stopped in front of a place to in front of an aisle to think about buying it, they were looking for the sales, and they were really thinking about, okay, should I buy this or not buy this? I'm not saying that they didn't have money or anything, but and I didn't talk to them, but at the same time, it's not a good situation. If you have to decide if you're going to be warm during this winter, paying your heating bill or your electric bill or whatever, or eating or paying your rent or your mortgage or your taxes, that's especially that's not a good way, because a lot of things that are happening, like this government shutdown and everything, is out of the hands of the average American, and they're putting the squeeze on people, and for no reason. Really, I'm really against this government shutdown. I'm not making this into a political thing, but you are hurting the people that you're supposed to be helping. Here in Florida, car insurance. Car insurance got stupidly, ridiculously expensive. I just renewed my car insurance, and I'm like, no tickets, no accidents, no nothing. And you know what's funny about Florida and car insurance, not compared to everywhere else in the United States, at least from what I know? Like when I lived in the Northeast, people say, "Hey, how much you paying for car insurance?" "Oh, I'm paying $2,500 a year or $2,000 a year." Over here, I make it a point to say, "Hey, how much you paying for car insurance?" And I'm waiting for somebody to tell me what they pay for the year, or even what they pay for every 6 months. But over here, it's like, "Oh, I pay $600 a month," or "I pay $500 a month." Some of the people are paying more for their car insurance than their car payments. And the other big thing here too is the seniors, their car insurance companies, seem like my mother, she drives hardly anything. I'm talking about, she drives like what, 5 miles or 10 miles. She could have a car, and it'll have, at the end of the year, she'd be lucky if she does 1,000 miles. But her car is getting older and it has all the safety features. But every year her car insurance goes up. It really does. And I don't know if I'm not an insurance person, but I don't know if they base it on age, but she has no tickets, no accidents. It's crazy. Here's what's killing a lot of seniors when it comes to this house, okay? It's basically, if they're on a fixed income, okay, and let's say they could make enough to pay the taxes and everything. Once the roof gets too old, okay, you're looking at $15,000 to $20,000 that they don't have, okay? Electrical panels, plumbing, all that stuff. If they have a major appliance out, and you know what's interesting about this particular house, when I was doing the inspection, she had a smaller refrigerator, like the little ones you buy, and she had that in the kitchen, but she also had the big one in the kitchen. And I asked her, it's like, "Why do you have two refrigerators in here?" And she says, "Because the big one doesn't work, and I couldn't afford to buy another one. So I went to Walmart, and they delivered it, and my neighbor brought this one in, and it's small." So she's eating out of a small little refrigerator because her refrigerator broke. And now big refrigerators, on average, I went and got one for my mother. I was used to paying $900, and now they're like $2,000. And her air conditioner is like 16 years old. It still works, but it's going to need a new air conditioner very soon. And you're talking about $5,000-$6,000 for an air conditioner, which basically, what I'm trying to get at is that a major problem in a house, something breaking down for a senior on a fixed income, could be devastating. Absolutely devastating. Solutions. Okay, you guys got my point when I'm saying how seniors are hurting. Okay, politicians, at least you got to do something about property taxes. Reduce the millage rate for these people, that are seniors. Homestead them. Give them a bigger homestead. At least here in Florida, do an exemption. I'm not talking about if they have a house that's valued at $300,000. bring it up to like an exemption of 150,000. So they're just paying taxes on a 150. Because homes over here, taxes is the only asset that you get taxed more without real gains. What do I mean by that? Is you could have bought the house for 100,000 and now it's valued at 500,000. So you're getting taxed on unrealized gains, basically. Okay, you didn't sell it. You don't have that extra 400,000, but you're getting taxed on it. And I think it's a very, very unfair system. So on property taxes, and I did some research, and some states have programs for seniors, okay, for homestead exemptions and credits and tax breaks. But these seniors, a lot of them, including like my mother, she's not computer literate that she go in there and type and Google and see what it is. So I think the states should reach out to the seniors because they know who they are and tell them these programs are available. Or if you know somebody, call the state, call the tax office, and see if there's any other programs available. Call the local AARP Foundation for Property Tax Aid or something like that. Here's another one for the energy bills. Call them. Call your utility companies. Maybe they have a program for people to help out. Because they're not, utility companies aren't going to reach out and say, hey, by the way, we know you're struggling. We know you're older and you're on a fixed income, but we have this program. They're not going to do that. You have to call them and say, hey, I'm a senior citizen. I'm on a fixed income. I can't afford this electric bill. Like over here, they'll send somebody out. Maybe you have something that's running or a motor that's running or something that's happening in the house that's using up all your electric. They will come out there and they'll do an energy audit. In a lot of states. I know they do it here in Florida. I've actually seen it done. So call your utility company, just speak out, tell them that you can't afford it, and if there's anything else that they could help with. When it comes to homeowners insurance and car insurance, find a really good insurance broker, okay? My opinion is, for me, I'm not an insurance person, but for me, I wouldn't go directly to an insurance company. I would find a broker that works with multiple insurance companies. Maybe if you bundle your car insurance with your homeowner's insurance, you can get a discount. So talk to them and say, hey, you know what? I have this much I'm paying for my car. This is how much I'm paying for my house. Is there any way we could bundle it or what we could do? Here's another one, okay? And I'm not a mortgage person. I'm not a financial person, but I ran into a few people that they would have been in trouble without this, okay? And I'm saying do your research and talk to a licensed professional. Reverse mortgages. I'm planning to try to get somebody on this channel that is licensed and is an expert with reverse mortgages, but basically a lot of seniors don't have a loan on their house. They have plenty of equity, but they're cash poor. Maybe after you get professional advice and you talk to your accountant, maybe it's a good thing for you that you could actually take equity out of your home little bit at a time to live on and be comfortable with, because basically you're getting taxed for it, because if your equity is going up because the value of your home is going up, you're getting taxed for it. You might as tap into it on a slow basis. That's something that's responsible that will help you out. So a reverse mortgage might be the answer. And another thing that's senior fixed income that I've noticed is there's a lot of scammers out there. My mother gets calls all the time, but me and my brothers are there to protect her. But you have to be very vigilant, okay? Because these seniors, I'll give you an example. I went and did an inspection for a senior on a fixed income, and they sold them a solar panel system on their roof, and I'm talking about 80 grand. And I'm like, wow, you got a new solar system? She goes, yeah, they're just taking it out of my bank account every month. I'm paying $320 a month for this solar panel stuff. I'm like, oh. And I said, how long you've had it? She goes, about probably a year and a half now. I was like, oh, how is it doing on your utility bill? She goes, I don't know. Nothing has changed. So to find out, after doing a little more research, they never hooked it up. Like, they installed it, but it was never activated for some reason. But they're making sure that they get their monthly payment every month, auto withdrawal from that. So that's what I'm saying is people go after seniors and people on fixed incomes and they try to take advantages of them. And that's one of my biggest things that I annoys me about people. If anybody tries to take advantage of somebody that doesn't know what's going on, with certain things. And it was a big scam. I think she got scammed for the solar thing. She's not saving any money. Her bills didn't go down or anything. The other thing too, my advice for seniors living and they can't afford it anymore. Maybe you do have family. Maybe you haven't talked to them in a while, but maybe if you reach out, they'll be happy to hear from you, and maybe they could help out or have a solution. Especially if you had a spouse that passed away or something. And it's just there's ways to get help out there. You're not on your own. There's church groups. There's so many people. I mean, be careful who you reach out to and who you're dealing with. Somebody that's trusted that you're not going to be taken advantage of. But, reach out. The state does have some good programs. And it's not like they advertise them on a billboard or anything. So, but you have to reach out to them and try to find somebody that's, go to a local library. Maybe there's somebody there that works there that can help you do some research on the computers and get the right phone numbers and get the right connections. And if you sell your home, maybe you do need to sell your home at the end of the day. You have to sell your home because it's just not affordable anymore for you, which is okay. You can't sell it, but maybe you can sell it, keep some of the equity, and then take the other part of the equity that you sold for and go from a house, go to a condo. If you get a condo with a good low HOA fees or condo maintenance fees or whatever, but you need a real good real estate agent when you do that. So maybe you live off the money you put to the side to live on, and then take the rest of the money, buy an inexpensive condo that you're comfortable with in a safe area that you like. And now you don't have lawn maintenance, utilities have dropped, you have you have security because pretty much you have one or two doors to get in and out. And you might be, and now that you're living in a condo complex, maybe you'll meet your neighbors and your neighbors are going to watch over you, and if something happens, if, God forbid, so it's a more closed community that you could meet more people. So my basic point is there's a lot of solutions to this. Anyways, I know I ranted through this whole video, so, but it's a very passionate issue when it comes to me. In the meantime, do me a favor. I know I said this at the beginning. Consider subscribing. It really does help out the channel. Give it a thumbs up and share. And remember, if you need a real estate agent anywhere, just my phone number is below. And watch this video right here. I picked it out just for you guys. Thank you, and have a great day, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.